boasts the Diesel. In and out, he creeps about like a big mud weasel. When he pulls the wrong cars out, up goes the Diesel. Growled Diesel and scuttled away to sulk in the shed. Freight cars would not stop singing brutally at them. Duck was horrified. Shut up, he ordered, and bumped them hard. I'm sorry our cars were rude to you, Diesel. Diesel was still furious. It's all your fault. You made them laugh at me. Nonsense, said Henry. Duck would never do that. We engines have our differences, but we never talk about them to the cars. That would be just disgraceful, said Gordon. Disgusting, put in James. Despicable, finished Henry. Diesel hated Duck. He wanted him to be sent away, so he made a plan. He was going to tell lies about Duck. Next day, he spoke to the cars. I see you like jokes. You made a good joke about me yesterday. I laughed and laughed. Duck told me one about Gordon. I'll whisper it. Don't tell Gordon I told you. He sniggered away. Guffawed the cars. Gordon will be cross with Duck when he knows. Let's tell him to get back at Duck for bumping us. They laughed crudely at the engines as they went by. Gordon, Henry, and James found out why. Disgraceful, said Gordon. Disgusting, put in James. Despicable, finished Henry. You cannot allow it. They consulted together. Yes, they said. He did it to us. We'll do it to him and see how he likes it. Duck was tired out. Tired of you. We like Diesel. We don't like you. You tell tales about us to the cars. I don't. You do. I don't. You do. So Topham Hatt came to stop the noise. Duck called me a galloping sausage, muttered Gordon. Rusty red scrap iron, hissed James. I'm old square wheel, fumed Henry. Well, Duck, Duck said, I only wish, sir, and I thought of those things myself. The dome fits. He made cars laugh at us, accused the engine. Sir Topham Hatt recovered. He tried not to laugh himself. Did you, Duck? Certainly not, sir. No, sir. Diesel lurked on. Now, Diesel, you heard what Duck said. I can't understand it, sir. To think that Duck of all engines. I'm dreadfully grieved, sir, but no, nothing. I see, said Sir Topham Hatt. Diesel squirmed and hoped he didn't. I'm sorry, Duck. You must go to Edward Station for a while. I know he will be glad to see you. As you wish, sir. Duck trotted sadly away, while Diesel smirked with triumph. Duck, the Great Western engine, puffed sadly to Edward Station. It's not fair, he complained. Diesel has been telling lies about me and made Sir Topham Hatt and all the engines think I'm horrid. Edward smiled. I know you aren't, and so does Sir Topham Hatt. You wait and see. Why don't you help me with these cars? Duck felt happier with Edward and set to work at once. Silly, heavy, noisy. The two engines had to work hard, pushing and pulling all afternoon. At last, we reached the top of the hill. Goodbye, whistled Duck, and rolled gently over the crossing to the other line. Duck loved coasting down the hill, running easily with wind whistling past. Suddenly, it was a conductor's warning whistle. Hurrah! 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 Laughed the cars. We've broken away! We've broken away! Chase him! Poke him! Throw him off the rails! They yelled. Hurry, Duck! Hurry! Said the driver. They raced through Edward Station, but the cars were catching up. As fast as we can, then they'll catch us gradually. The driver was gaining control. Another clear mile and we'll do it. Oh, glory! Look at that! James was just pulling out on their line from the station ahead. Any minute, there could be a crash. It's up to you now, Duck, cried the driver. Duck put every weight and steam against the car. It's too late, Duck groaned. He peered into a siding where a barber had set up shop. He was shaving the customer. Off his van and left him far behind after he had finished the warning. But the cars didn't care. They were feeling very pleased with themselves. Beg pardon, sir, gasped Duck. Excuse my intrusion. No, I won't, said the barber. You frightened my customer. I'll teach you, and he lacquered Duck's face all over. Poor Duck. Thomas was helping to pull the cars away when Sir Topham Hatt arrived. I do not like engines popping through my walls, fumed the barber. I appreciate your feelings, said Sir Topham Hatt, but you must know that this engine and its crew have prevented a serious accident. It was a very close shave. Oh, said the barber. Oh, excuse me. He filled a basin of water to wash Duck's face. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were being afraid of engines. That's all right, sir. I didn't know that either. You were very brave indeed, said Sir Topham Hatt. I'm proud of you. Sir Topham Hatt watched the rescue operation. Then he had more news for Duck. And when you are properly washed and mended, you are coming home. Home, sir? You mean the yard? Of course. But sir, they don't like me. They like Diesel. Not now. I never believed Diesel, so I sent him packing. The engines are sorry and want you back. Gordon was resting inside him. Sometimes he thought, it's really tiring to be such a large and splendid engine. One does have to keep up appearances, so. Beep, 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 beep. Hello, lazy bones, whistled Henry. What cheek, spluttered Gordon. That Henry is too big for the wheel. Fancy speaking to me like that. Me, but never in action. Are jammed whistles and burn safety valves accidents? Asked Percy innocently. No, indeed. High appearance. Might happen to any engine. But to come off the rails like Henry did, well, I ask you, is that right? Is it decent? Then it was Henry's turn to take the express. Gordon watched him getting ready. Be careful, Henry. You're not pulling the flying kipper now. Mind you keep on the rails today. Henry went off in a huff. Gordon yawned and went to sleep. Not for long. Wake up, Gordon, said his driver. A special train's coming and we're to pull it. Is it coaches or freight cars? Cars, said his driver. Cars, said Gordon. Gordon's fire was slow to start, so Edward had to push Gordon to the turntable to get him facing the right way. I won't go, grumbled Gordon. Don't be silly, puffed Edward. At last, Gordon was on the turntable. The movement had shaken his fire. It was now burning nicely and making steam. Gordon was cross. Didn't care what. He waited till the table was halfway round. I'll show them, he hissed. He moved slowly forward to jam the table, but he couldn't stop himself. He slithered into a ditch. Oh, he hissed. Get me out! Get me out! Not a hope, said his driver finally. You're stuck, you silly great engine. Don't you understand that? They telephoned Sir Topham Hatt. So Gordon didn't want to take the special train and ran into a ditch? What's that you say? The special's waiting? Tell Edward to take him, please. And Gordon, leave him where he is. We'll get him out later. On the other side of the ditch, some little boys were chattering. Oh, doesn't he look silly? They'll never get him out. They began to sing. Silly old Gordon fell in the ditch, fell in the ditch, fell in the ditch. Silly old Gordon fell in the ditch, all on the Monday morning. Gordon lay in the ditch all day. Oh dear, he thought, I shall never get out. But that evening they lifted Gordon and made a road of sleepers under his wheels to keep him from the mud. Strong ropes were fastened to his back end, and James and Henry, pulling hard, managed to bring him to safety. seeming very pleased with himself. Hello, Thomas, Mr. Percy. You look splendid. Yes, spoke Thomas. Blue is the only proper color for an engine. Oh, I don't know. I like my brown paint, said Toby. I've always been green. I wouldn't want to be any other color either, added Percy. Well, anyway, huffed Thomas, blue is the only color for a really useful engine. Everyone knows that. Percy said no more. He just grinned at Toby. Later, Thomas was resting and Percy arrived. A large hopper was loading his freight cars full of coal. Thomas was still being cheeky. Careful, he warned. Watch out for those silly cars. Go on, moaned the cars. By the way, went on Thomas, those bumpers don't look very safe to me. The last load poured down. Help, cried Thomas. Get me out. Percy was worried, but he couldn't help laughing. Thomas was smart and paint was covered in coal dust from smoke box to bunker. Ha-ha! Chuckled Percy. You look really useful now, Thomas. You look really disgraceful. I'm not disgraceful, joked Thomas. You did that on purpose. Get me out. It took so long to clean Thomas that he wasn't in time for his next train. Tony had to take Annie and Clarabelle. Poor Thomas, Mr. Annie to Clarabelle. They were most upset. Thomas was grumpy in the shed that night. Toby thought it a great joke, but Percy was cross with Thomas for thinking he had made his paint dirty on purpose. Fancy a really useful blue engine like Thomas becoming a disgrace to Sir Topham Hatt's railway. Next day, Thomas was feeling more cheerful as he watched Percy bring his cars from the junction. The cars were heavy. Percy was tired. Have a drink, said his driver. Then you'll feel better. The water column stood at the end of the siding with the unsafe buffers. Suddenly, Percy found that he couldn't stop. The buffers didn't stop him either. Oh, wailed Percy. Help! The buffers were broken, and Percy was wheels deep in coal. It was time for Thomas to leave. He had seen everything. Now Percy has learned his lesson too, he chuckled to himself. That night, the two engines made up their quarrel. I didn't cause your accident on purpose, Thomas, whispered Percy. You do know that, don't you? Of course, replied Thomas, and I'm sorry I teased you. Your green paint looks splendid again, too. In future, we'll both be more careful of coal. Taking empty cattle cars to a market town. The sun shone, birds sang. heading for trouble. Come on, he puffed. Oh,